How many spaghetti do you want?
Ciao e benvenuti su Livo Learn Italian Vocabulary, a division of LIS Learn Italian with Songs, and today we are going to talk about spaghetti and how you might have used this word wrong all your life, or at least differently from how we Italian use it. Now, of course, you know that spaghetti, or spaghetti as we say in Italian, is a kind of pasta, but what does the word mean in Italian? Well, it is a version of the word spago. And what is spago? Spago means twine or string or thread or cord. Spago. But the thing is that spago in Italian is countable. It's not a mass or an uncountable noun as it is used in the English language when talking about spaghetti or spaghetti. So it is a masculine noun and the singular is spago, whereas the plural, they are called spaghi. And now pay attention to the spelling of this word. When it's singular, it's S-P-A-G-O, whereas when it's plural, it's S-P-A-G-H-I. Now that's because in Italian, when you have a G followed by A, O, or U, they sound ga, go, gu. Whereas when you have a G and then you have a letter E or a letter I, they would sound J, G. So to make them sound ge, gi, you add an H in the middle.
So ga, go, gu without the H, whereas ge, gi with the H.
And that is why spaghetti is written with G-H-E.
And now while we are on the subject of spaghetti, maybe it's the first time you've watched a video from this channel, and this channel focuses mainly on translating famous Italian songs, and there is a famous song called Spaghetti a Detroit, which I have translated. Spaghetti for la insalatina, una tazzina di caffè.
And you might want to go and check it out.
It deals with foods and Italian beverage, so I'll leave a link here or in the description below.
Now, spago is a piece of twine. Spaghi is the plural. So what is spaghetti? Well, when you add the suffix etti, you make it smaller. So spaghetto would be one small twine, whereas two or more small strings would be spaghetti. And that is precisely the reason why this kind of pasta is called spaghetti. They are like small pieces of string or twine. And since they are countable, if you have just one of them, you would call one spaghetto, masculine singular with the diminutive suffix etto, whereas two or more will be spaghetti. Ends with the letter I, signaling the masculine plural.
Hey, but it's not just spaghetti that have the shape of a piece of string. You might also be familiar with the name linguine, or actually, as we say in Italian, linguine.
Like these, linguine. And what are these? Well, these are a kind of spaghetti, only that their name comes from the word lingua, and lingua in Italian is tongue. The tongue.
And it is a feminine noun. In fact, it ends with the letter A as many other feminine nouns in Italian. Lingua. So one lingua, two, three or more lingue.
And why are they called linguini?
Well, because there's another diminutive suffix, which is ina or ine, as is the case for linguine.
So one small tongue will be a linguina, 2, 3, or 1,000 will be linguine. Now you can notice that there's a difference in shape, and linguine, they are flatter and wider. They're less round and more flat, thus resembling more a tongue, which is flatter and wider.
And so they're called linguine. So you see that there are different diminutive suffixes that we can use in Italian. We have seen with spaghetti, or we can have ino, ina. So for example, a glass is bicchiere, masculine singular. A small glass could be a bicchierino. 2, 3 small glasses would be bicchierini. Whereas a cup is a tazza, feminine singular. A small cup could be a tazzina. 2, 3 more small cups would be tazzine.
Now it gets even more complicated than that, because here you have lo spaghettone.
So here we have an augmentative suffix on top of a diminutive one. We have spaghetto, which is a small string, and notice that this time it's used at the singular just because.
And if you have a thick spaghetto, it becomes a spaghettone. One means big. Spaghettone successone. But it doesn't end here.
You can also put a diminutive suffix on top of another diminutive suffix.
Vermicelli.
Verme is a worm. A teeny tiny, even tinier worm, it could be a
Vermicellino. But I think that's enough suffixes for today. So if you want to brag with your friends and tell them that you know Italian very well, the next time you cook spaghetti, you could ask them, how many spaghetti do you want? Or even better, how many spaghetti do you want? And if they look at you
in a strange way, you could explain that spaghetti is actually a countable noun, and therefore it would be more correct to ask how many spaghetti do you want instead of how much spaghetti do you want.
If you have any doubts on the various kinds of pasta, just ask me in the comments below. So what do you want the next video to be about? We could talk about broccoli or zucchini, or it could be another song. Just hit me with some suggestions. You know I answer to all the comments, and I'll see you on the next of Livo Learn Italian Vocabulary or LIS Learn Italian with Songs. Ciao!
And there are even some idioms that will help you remember that spaghetti in Italian is plural. For example, in the Roman dialect, there's a very common sentence, se famo due spaghi, which in Italian would be ci facciamo due spaghi, or spaghetti, which would mean, shall we cook two spaghetti, two meaning a few, and not some spaghetti. And as you can see here, you have spaghetti grossi, which means grosso is thick, so thick spaghetti. And as you can see, the adjective grossi matches with the noun, which is plural, so it's in its plural form. And here, instead of having spaghetto grosso, you have spaghettone with the augmentative suffix. And some pasta makers decide to call their pasta at the singular form, just like this brand Armando, which is selling lo spaghetto. Lo spaghetto means just one string of spaghetti, but of course there are many more in this packaging. One thing that I should also talk about is the determiner, the article that goes before spaghetti.